When you talk to your plant is really when you would say, oh, like, you know, how are you doing? How does this look? And you look at the leaves, pet the leaves, but part of it is like, you know, you clean the dust off, and I don't know, it just feels very nurturing to me to...
You're physically caring for the plant, and you're having a discussion with it
like,
to...
oh, like this leaf is a little bit like caught on this one, so like, oh, I'm so sorry, let's just tuck you around over there.
Oh, that's, you know, the like, conversation. Yeah. Okay, it's not,
and then I'll be like,
I can't stand my boyfriend today.
How's your water level? Let me take a look. And then it's being attentive.
I have been talking to my plant the wrong way. I've been just sharing my problems, probably stressing my plant out. Strathcona is a special place. It has a rich history. It embraces culture and diversity. It's community. It's the neighborhood that raised me. It's where we celebrated the birth of MUMGRY. And nestled right in the middle of it all is the Garden Strathcona. A place many say can't be defined because, frankly, it just has to be experienced. This is the MUMGRY Shop Tour. Welcome to the Garden Strathcona. When you're around plants, you feel like you're doing something good for your body, right? And so I think when you walk into a space that nurtures plants, right? So what better feeling than, you know, whether you're grabbing a latte or coffee or cookie or whatever and getting it from a place that has all of that, it makes you feel that the risk is worth it. You know, that risk of exiting your house, I know that I'm supporting local. There's just so much transparency when you're in there. And I think that that's something that all of us want more than ever these days, to feel safe. I no longer have to Google plants anymore. I just come in and I'm like, what's this one? What's this one?
And I'm like, ooh, someone to listen to my plant nerdiness. Whenever we get a plant shipment in and there's something new, I like love just, you know, figuring it out, and then it's just stored up in there.
Well, this one, it reminds me of like an 80s office.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's one of the easiest plants to take care of.
Which one
do
I need to aspire to take care of?
Well, the fiddle leaf.
Of course.
Yeah. We named this one Frank.
Frankie! Every single home and garden TV show puts one in the house, and I'm like, I wish that they did like a 6 month later situation where you got to see how well the family looked after.
It's true.
And is it just because the amount of light that they require?
They're just super finicky. Like if you move it, it'll drop leaves. If you if you don't water it exactly the right cadence, it'll drop leaves.
Yeah.
It's like this is a caliphate. Feel this plant, by the way. It's like
oh my goodness.
It's like a cashmere sweater.
It's a cashmere sweater.
Yeah.
That one is like
Congo Rojo.
It looks like it's its own character in a movie. It's just so dramatic.
Yeah. It's actually so dramatic that it bleeds. Not actually, but so I had to prune one of the leaves a little while ago, and it drips red.
No.
Yeah. I got it on my shirt that I was wearing that day, and it literally was like a blood stain. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
But yeah, beautiful kind of dramatic plant. It's growing so well up there.
Yeah.
Like straight up, those three at the top. I need to prune them a little bit.
Oh, this is so crazy to see the backyard. So not this one, but the next one over was mine. Everyone gardens. Like everyone in this neighborhood grows their own stuff. So like, you just start to admire like how much people care about eating good food and just staying healthy. And I think that's like something that this neighborhood taught me, is just like growing things and watching them flourish and then indulging and eating. And
when we opened, I had only 2 things figured out for the cafe. This chocolate chip cookie that I knew was good and I knew it would be great to have, and the mushroom bowl. Everyone tried this cookie because it was the cookie we had every single day, mostly because it was just the cookie that I knew we were going to do.
Yeah.
And everything else I sort of rotated and, you know, tested and tried. But that cookie started to become the reason why people were coming in. Everyone heard about this cookie, and we would tell them it's vegan, and they would be completely minds blown.
Yeah.
So this cookie got this huge following, and people would line up for the cookies. They would wait for us to bake more. Almost every day this was happening because the cookie, interestingly enough, like really embodies everything that I really believe passionately about. Ethical sourcing, knowing where your food's coming from, who's created it. The chocolate is fair trade, it's organic, it's made by a little chocolatier a few streets away. So I could go on and on and on, but I didn't want to do a packaged version of the cookie because you want a fresh cookie.
Yes, you
People
want to smell it.
line up for a fresh, hot, warm, gooey, but crispy on the outside cookie, right? So this was born as a bake-at-home version of our cookie.
Wow.
So in here are like 8 cookie dough balls that all you do is pop them out of the bag onto a tray, bake them for 10 minutes. Well, you know, and then you have fresh cookies at home.
Yeah, very familiar with
In,
the...
10 minutes.
It's a savior, and it's called Savory Cookie. I mean, it's so perfect. And the salt, the little addition of the salt, it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
It's a nice touch. I
Yeah.
love it. One of my best friends lived in this building, and she lived with her grandma. You know, it's kind of interesting because like when you go into certain spaces nowadays, you always kind of identify the smell first, right? Like I go into the garden, I smell the cookie, I'm like, What is new here since we've kind of entered a new norm? Like,
we created our own hand sanitizer.
which smells delicious.
Yeah.
Do you know how tired I am of bad smelling hand sanitizer? I would put this all over my whole body.
We have one guy that comes in every day and he rubs it on his hands and then he rubs it on his face. And
I
he's
don't
like,
blame
I
him.
can smell it all day long, and it's
You know,
just like the best.
I have been missing the spa more than anything, and this is giving me like spa vibes.
Yeah.
What made you pick?
Oh, Strathcona.
Yeah, Strathcona.
I had this vision for what I wanted to create, and the people and the space and the products and the coffee and the food and the events, and I was like, how on earth am I going to find a space where I can fit all these things together? And I came across this building and I was like, wow, that is perfect.
Yeah. When the garden opened up, you know, I wasn't thinking about gentrification. I was thinking about what are they actually going to contribute to the neighborhood, and I've seen evidence of it. Like I've seen evidence of the connection that the owners have made with the community and that they continue to make, and it's not temporary. And so that makes me feel good, you know?
And I realized how amazing Strathcona is with how diverse, just not only the residents who live here, but also the people who work here. There's just such a diverse community, both in creatives, artists, makers, designers, and then residents. And so I thought, like, that is such an amazing eclectic mix that I would love to be a part of.
I went to Seymour Elementary School, and I wasn't allowed to walk home, so I would get picked up in the van that would bring us to Raycam Community Center, and I would spend after school at Raycam for like 2 to 3 hours, and depending on what the snack was, I would run away from Raycam into my neighbor's house at 4:14, and I would get pupusas. And I just love pupusas, like that's what we ate after school. Yeah, they're from El Salvador, and the mom would just make food, and I would go down and hide until they would capture me every time. Because my mom worked at the community center, so she knew where I was. She was like, you need to be back in daycare.
Raycam Community Center is just like, what they do is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we've been able to create a relationship with them, and it's been so rewarding to just be a small part in the neighborhood and just with what they're up to. And it was during the construction phase that, we started to meet people, and we met a few different people at Raycam, and they started to share with us just what they were doing and how we could, be a part of it with them. And we've hosted different events for them upstairs. just bringing more awareness for the whole city to know what's going on here and what it is that they're doing, and trying to help. Unfortunately, it's a little bit stalled right now, but their Raycam Renew project is so inspiring and amazing.
Building a treehouse.
The playground, yeah, it's so
That's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
Knowing that the place I was going to be putting MUMGRY was already doing the work, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, okay, you guys aren't just here for the cool hip neighborhood. You're here to make it better and to give people things that they need to feel good. I don't think I ever admired the view as much as I do now as an adult. Because I never sit in the same spot twice. Like, I find that like you get a different point of view. So like when you're back here, you get like the little nest where you can kind of like, you know, hang out and stare up at the art.
They're all local. These pieces, we have a few around the corner here as well, are by an artist named Clee Larson, and her studio is just over at the Parker Street Studios, a few blocks away.
You see the people that walk into the Garden Strathcona, it's not one type of human, it's everyone. And they do it right. Even when you look at the shelves and the brands that they carry, like those are brands I admire. It's really scary when you start a company and when you start a brand and you don't know what places are gonna accept you, and so thank you for allowing MUMGRY to sell on your shelves.
Thank you for letting us sell it.
Every time I come in, I'm like examining to figure out like, okay, what's new and what do they bring in next? And one of the like themes is I just feel like everything that you have has like a good energy to it. Like
it's really intentional. It's not about like, oh, what's the coolest thing, or what's just something that fills the space. You can support really amazing initiatives, and they can be small or they can be large, but like I was just saying, they all add up to really big impacts. So Love the Grub, for example, is such an amazing company which is both environmentally and socially conscious. They rescue fruit, which is going to be wasted with either being damaged or bruised or just ugly. There's a ton of food that we waste all the time. Yeah. So they rescue the fruit, and then they hire newcomer refugees who are having trouble finding work.
Wow.
Also, it's a beautiful, delicious product.
It's the most delicious.
It's
like,
so good.
The mango chutney gets me, and I can't stop. I just feel like I am grateful through this experience of doing, you know, having these conversations with different retail owners and with you. It just, for me, it makes me feel good about the decisions that we've made to remain in spaces that are protected by small business owners and that are here to serve the community and lend a shelf in an area for local businesses, because I feel like, you know, what you've created and what small businesses mean, they're the backbone to, you know, the economy, and they just...
Absolutely. I went to school for biology, hence the love of the plants. My story and all the dots that connect really all accumulate to this. Businesses have the power and the influence, the impact to make big changes in the world. And I thought, if I can go into business and create something there that's bigger than myself, then I'll have the impact that I really want to have. It started with, I wanted a little retail shop, and that was what it sort of began as. And I hate going into a store and feeling uncomfortable, or, you know, like you're feeling pressured that you need to buy something, or that you don't fit in, or you're not really cool enough for like this cool hip shop. And so that was what I really, really didn't want to have. And so that's actually a big reason why I paired the coffee with it, because I wanted people to feel casual, that you can come and hang out. You don't have to buy anything. You can buy a coffee and just look around, or, you know, just sit and enjoy the space and enjoy everything without having to feel that sort of transaction pressure. So that was definitely a piece that I really wanted to have always, no matter what.
One of the things that I appreciate about you is that, you know, your team has taken it upon yourself to be really, really inclusive And like, what does that mean to you? Like, how do you kind of feel about that development and keeping that going and not making it temporary?
Yeah, well, I mean, ever since day one, which is over 2 years ago now, a key piece that I was so adamant about being a critical piece of our space was that inclusivity, and knowing that we're in an environment and a neighborhood where there's huge diversity. I wanted everyone that walks in to feel welcome. I wanted to make sure that we were really living up to that feeling of inclusivity and welcoming, and we thought about, how can we be supportive of people with our, our little footprint, but how can we expand it? And so we offered our studio space upstairs for Black-owned and Indigenous-owned businesses for no charge, and we wanted to encourage other businesses to do. We did a program, all of us together, an anti-racist training with Rachel Ricketts upstairs. Yeah. It was really something that we could do within our means, and again, create that welcoming and really inclusive environment. And we wanted to make sure that all businesses, whether they're Black-owned, Indigenous-owned, any BIPOC business, that we want to highlight your products. We want you to be able to do a photo shoot here. We want to support you and from business to business, but also just like person to person. So, yeah.
I love that.
Not strategic or planned. It was it just came together really naturally. Yeah. So Rheanna and I have been friends for almost 13 years, I guess now. She always remembers everyone's drink, and like, it's crazy. She knows everyone's name and what they get to drink, and that is always pretty consistent.
How did you come to the decision of keeping it transparent? Because I feel like that's a fairly new thing with most places, but like
the open kitchen design?
Yeah.
And people are always amazed, which is kind of surprising to me, but that we make everything here. And then I wanted the space to be
like, I've never seen. Usually it's like white.
It's all stainless steel. And very like medical almost. Yeah. And I mean, marble is just as sterile as stainless steel is, so that wasn't ever an issue. But I wanted it to feel more like, how when you have a party at home and everybody ends up in the kitchen and everyone stands around and like loves to just, watch and chat and all of that. So part of it was that I wanted to have the same sort of homey feel throughout the whole space. But I also wanted to host parties in here. I wanted people to be able to come in. The countertop you can actually sit at it.
Yeah.
I designed it in the way that you almost would at home. So you know this space pretty well, given that we've had some fun parties and pop-ups, and
I think a good handful of plant markets.
Yeah, you were so amazing, our staple.
And even with that, I moved around. I was on this side some weekends, and then I was on this side.
Yeah, we gotta keep it interesting.
And then, the main stage, where all the plants. So you've seen everything up here. You've seen weddings.
Oh yeah, weddings. We've had birthday parties, long table dinners. We've had product launches. We've had baby showers, bridal showers. You name it. You probably remember this one.
I would never be. Yeah, I remember this one. This
one's been here forever.
I wouldn't be able to grow one of these.
Oh, you would. Yes, you would.
But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Because now I'm at home.
There you go.
And I will try.
How's the prayer plant?
It needs prayers. I'm not gonna lie. It needs. Pray for it. Thank you so much for bringing us here, showing the space. Everyone needs to come and just hang out here. Like anytime someone says to me that they're new to the city or that they, are looking for something new to do, I always tell them start at the garden.